The long take. Most cinephiles are familiar with its use in blockbuster films like Creed, Children of Men, and Gravity, amongst others, but what is it exactly? According to David McDougall, the author of a 1992 Film Quarterly article that explores the rise of the long take in documentary filmmaking, it refers to a method of film construction that causes an audience to focus on developments within shots and sequences as opposed to linkages between shots and sequences. Under this definition, McDougall implies that the function of the long take is to create visible changes without cutting away, effectively suggesting that the length of a shot is less important than the makeup of these extended sequences. Obviously, the length of a shot holds significant importance on its own, hence why it's called the long take, but the effectiveness of the oneer arguably lies in its ability to depict a high number of impactful diegetic changes without interruption. Within his definition of the one-shot, McDougall refers to Brian Henderson, the author of a 1971 film Comet article that breaks down the meteoric rise of the long take in international cinema. Henderson was perhaps the first to write about this cinematic effect with his article, and it was the same article that brought the concept into the public eye. In the article, Henderson reinforces McDougall's definition by outlining the effect's early use in cinema. He cites F.W. Murnau as the first filmmaker to purposefully use the long take as a cinematic effect, and this is reflected in his films like Nosferatu and Sunrise. Within Murnau's filmic era that lasted from the late 1800s to approximately 1960, the average shot length in international cinema was around 8 seconds long. Henderson outlines how Murnau did not go way beyond this average shot length when he implemented long takes, though he did increase the number of meaningful diegetic changes that happened within these shots. In other words, Murnau's films contained lengthy sequences that held more of a meaning than other films from the era. Notice how these clips from Nosferatu aren't particularly long, but there are a number of visual developments that occur without cutting away. According to Henderson, Max Ophuls was one of the first to effectively build upon Murnau's belief that shots should hold as many visual developments as possible. This German director focused on changing the mise-en-scène and his sequences in front of the audience and implementing lengthy camera movements to follow these changes. This strategy effectively reached mainstream cinema by the 1960s, and Henderson argues that Orson Welles heavily contributed to its popularity with the opening to his 1958 film, Touch of Evil. The opening sequence in Touch of Evil builds upon Welles' prior usage of the long take in films like Citizen Kane, where he used a lengthy static shot to emphasize depth. Though this shot qualifies as a long take due to its length, the lack of mise-en-scène changes within the shot makes it somewhat dry apart from its fantastic use of depth and framing. Welles completely switches gears in his opening to Touch of Evil, making sure to use dynamic camera angles and movement, as well as a rapidly changing mise-en-scène to create a spectacle that audiences adored upon release. According to Henderson, it was this extended sequence that both perfectly reflected the point of a long take and caused it to grow in terms of cinematic usage.
The long take can do a multitude of different things to enhance the audience's experience as well as showcase the expertise of the film crew. Some of the main facets of the long take are immersion, emphasizing performance, creating tension, highlighting a setting, and showcasing technical prowess. When used correctly, the long take can magnify an otherwise mundane shot, lengthening it to create a more contemplative experience.
The immersive experience of the long take provides a much deeper meaning to a shot that would otherwise be viewed as just one of many in a film, where something as simple as walking through a museum or partaking in a long conversation can be captured in multiple shots. Providing a long take of these mundane activities gives a new perspective to everyday actions. A long take forces a viewer to dive deeper into a film and brings them closer to the essential experience being projected on the screen. Long takes can be used to immerse the audience in the scene, creating a sense of realism and immediacy that can be hard to achieve with multiple cuts. By maintaining a single shot, the audience is forced to focus on the action in front of them, which can create a more intense and engaging viewing experience. Take 1917, a film that presents itself as entirely one shot for the express purpose of immersing the audience into the scene. This is what director Sam Mendes has to say about it.
From the very beginning, I felt this movie should be told in real time. Every step of the journey, breathing every breath with these men, felt integral. And there is no better way to tell this story than with one continuous shot.
the first moment I talked to Sam about the idea of it as a one-shot movie, I knew it was going to be really immersive. Stay low.
It's meant to make you feel that you are in the trenches with those two young men.
Long takes can be a powerful way to showcase the skills of actors, allowing them to perform lengthy and complex scenes without interruption. This can be particularly effective for dramatic scenes where the actor's performance is a crucial element of the story. Birdman is another notable film that presents itself as entirely one shot, though there are clever edits hiding the different shots. The use of the oneer in this film is to emphasize the performance, which is also a major plot point of the film as the characters perform a play on stage, a format that insists upon memorization and long-form performance. Watch how the camera moves in this scene, creating a dynamic image from an otherwise stagnant scene, allowing the actor's performance to be emphasized.
After she left him.
He shot himself in the mouth, but he screwed that up too. Poor Ed.
Poor Ed, my ass. The guy was dangerous.
Well, how'd he screw it up if he shot himself in the mouth?
He used to carry this 22. We lived like fugitives then. Okay, rough. Fugitives are scared, you know. Fugitives are on the run. Yes.
Creating tension. Long takes can also be used to build tension and suspense by drawing out a scene and making the audience wait for the next development. This can be particularly effective in thrillers or horror films, where the slow buildup of tension can be used to create a sense of dread or unease. It would be impossible to not highlight tension in long shots without discussing Orson Welles' touch of evil. The opening scene of the film is revolutionary in its use of a crane to put the entire environment on display, but still punch right back into those close-up shots. This long take exists to make the audience sit in a suspenseful, unbroken shot as danger creeps closer and closer. While building the tension in the audience as we wait for an inevitable explosion. Highlighting setting.
What are you doing?
A long take can also be used to showcase the setting of a film, allowing the audience to explore the environment and take in the details of the surroundings. This can be particularly effective in films that rely heavily on atmosphere, such as period dramas or fantasy films. One of the best examples of long takes in cinema is from Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas. This long shot puts the viewer's experience into Lorraine Bracco's character as she experiences this new world of the mafia for the first time. The camera reveals Henry's comfort and ease in this space, unfazed by the chaos around him as he walks through as if he owns the place, which is precisely the point, made effective by the long shot. We understand the environment, and therefore we understand the character through the long take.
What? What do you do?
I'm in construction.
You don't feel like you're in construction.
No, I'm a union delegate.
The long take, debated by many as either excessive or a feat of ingenuity, is undoubtedly an artistic shot choice loved by many and revered by even more. The long take can work in many different ways, whether it be to better immerse viewers in their film or to highlight the technicality of the shot choice. Between creating tension, highlighting settings, and emphasizing performances, long takes have granted viewers some of the best shots in movie history, such as Goodfellas and some of the most action-packed scenes, such as 1917 and Extraction. When used correctly, the long take can raise a film to the next level, creating an experience that can completely immerse a viewer and bring a film fame, fortune, and a reputation for mastering one of the most difficult shot choices in the game.
La fille et le soldat.